That first tune there that the boys played was the Banks of Kells Water. And what's their next tune, boys? Let's see what they're going to play an Aughrim tune now, a bit shorter, and hopefully that'll go as well. And that's the boys of Belfast, so it's over to them. Those early days, there really hasn't been a big change in the way the drums are made or manufactured. Just to give you a wee insight into the drums, not to bore you to death, but as I was saying, these are oak shell drums, and they're actually made in two very, very light and very thin planks of oak, and they're joined in the middle there, and that's about 12 inches or so, 12 and a half inches, and it's actually about 16 and a half foot long before it's bent round. And that is made out of coffin oak, usually. The drums are made out of what's the timber called coffin oak, and that's because of the very high moisture content, I'm told, in coffin oak, and it lends itself to the shaping exercise, and it doesn't fracture or crack. And the two bits, whenever they've been formed and made round in, they're met together here in the centre, and there's a hoop inside the drum there which supports that. And the drums are then, or the two bits are then tacked together, they're glued and tacked together. And wee brass text goes in there, and that gives you a bit of a pointer as to who makes the drum. This here's a Johnson shell from Belfast. And the way he nailed his drum was 2 in, 2 out, 2 in, 2 out, to sort of spread out and come in a bit closer. Different manufacturers then staggered their nails, and that's just a wee difference that the manufacturers had. So that's your centre hoop joining the drum together. I think that drum there is a single piece shell. There's only one bit of oak there, and that's the full width. But it still has the centre hoop in there just to give a bit of support and strength and keep the thing in shape. There's actually 7 hoops, I think I'm right in saying, in the makeup of the drum. You've got your centre hoop in there, and then you have 2 hoops out here connected to the shell, which are called the mouth hoops. They keep the edge of the drum in shape and keep us in a rounded form. Then the next couple of hoops will be these ones here, and they're the bracing hoops. And the centre hoop, just go back to that's made out of oak too, usually. And then the outer mouth hoops here and below, you can't see them. They're made out of yellow pine. These here would be made out of ash, the bracing hoops. And there's two missing here somewhere. Yes, the other two hoops then will be here. You can actually see them there. They're called the flesh hoops, and they're made out of pine as well. And that's what the skin itself is tightened round. So that's more or less the same idea that that man Hewitt made all those years ago. The drums haven't changed much. Maybe these hoops here got a bit heavier as the men that have started to go to drumming matches and get more pressure and more tension and higher tone and pitch. These had to be widened out and made a bit heavier so to put more pressure on and stand the strain. So that's the drum basically. And all the timber would be no good, of course, if you had something here for to make the tone. And this, of course, is nothing other than our friend, the old goat. All different sorts of animals, it appears, have been killed, and different skins tried, but the best skin for getting the tone and getting the music out of the drum, maybe you can't hear any music in the drum, but some of us do, and the best thing you can get is the goat. And unfortunately, the goat has to be killed. But sure, all of us die sometime. And the story's told of the old woman who was a widower, and she had got too old for to look after the stock on the farm. And the last thing to go was a pair of goats that she'd had, twin goats. And she didn't just feel like parting with the goats. They'd been together all their life. And she put an ad in the paper that these two goats were free to give away, free to a good home. And this drumming man heard or saw this advert, and he thought that there was something of interest there for him. So he headed off to see the goats, and he was very interested in them. But the wee woman couldn't understand. He took a tape out and he measured them around the middle and measured them down the backbone. And she couldn't figure this out. But she says, now there's only one thing that I would say to you, son. She says, them goats have been together all their life, and I wouldn't want them parted. And your man says, there's no problem with that, miss. He says, you see where they're going? They'll never be any more than 2 foot apart. So he was going to keep them very close together. But anyway, it's the goat skin that's used there. And just spin it around, maybe you'll see it there. There's the backbone of the goat there. It goes right down along it there. And then this is the head of the goat up here, and the tail of the goat down there. And everybody knows that that's the way the drum goes together. But we all make mistakes, you know. And I put this drum here up a Monday week ago to get it ready for tonight. We just give it a bit of a squeeze, a bit of a pull, and we practiced with it on the Tuesday night. And then they were practicing last night again, but I wasn't fit to make it. I was in another meeting, and I went down to the hall afterwards to gather up the drums and everything. The chatting all was going well about tonight. And then somebody dropped a bombshell and says to me, why have you got one of them heads and that drum upside down? So I'm telling you how to put it together, and I didn't know myself, or I had made a mistake that night and rushed to get her up. So I had to take it home last night at 10:30, take the whole thing apart again and start over again to get her back into shape there and get the head spun around. I couldn't have brought it here and Davy Murdoch looking at it and hadn't known that head was upside down then. So that's the poor old goat. And some would say that it's the heads that really tell it, or make the drum and make the sound. Others say that it's the shell, but I suppose in reality it's a combination of both. You need a good shell, a good drum, and then you need a really good set of heads. The heads are manufactured by, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 people manufacture heads now in the province. They were getting very hard to get at times there, but I would nearly be sure that these heads here, they're Loudons, a man Loudon from Ballymoney makes heads now, and he would get us quite a lot of heads. Whenever he says he's going to make heads, he'll make them to you and get them for you. I would think those heads there might have started their life on goats in Tanzania. He imports skins from goats from Africa somewhere, I think it's Tanzania. And that's why he's quite a lot of them. The goats were getting very scarce, and that's why heads, I suppose, became scarce. The heads in this drum here are Frank Orr's. and he's a man from Lambegs, and he manufactured too. There's several. It's really a family tradition or family thing, and it's done on a part-time basis. I don't think there's anybody at it full-time. Them men would all have other jobs, or supposed to have other jobs, maybe spend quite a lot of time making heads. You can make a good living at it now. A set of heads would be 130 or 120 pound to get a set of heads, and they might only last for one match or something like that, and you're running even more. So that's the heads for the drum.